Admiral William Carter stood at the main window of Earth Defense Fleet headquarters, looking at the stars. His gray eyes narrowed as he read the report in his hand again. 5 large alien ships had appeared near the edge of the solar system, just beyond Pluto's orbit. They had made no aggressive moves, but they had not responded to any messages either. "Admiral, you need to see this," said Commander Susan Martinez, walking quickly into the room. She handed him a datapad. "Our deep space listening post picked up these signals between the alien ships." Carter took the pad and read the translated message. His face grew hard. "They're calling us primitive but dangerous. They want to put us in containment before we become a bigger problem." "Yes, sir. They're planning to study us, then decide if humans should be allowed to continue developing space travel," Martinez said. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, her uniform perfect, but worry showed in her eyes. "They've been watching us for how long?" Carter asked. "Based on their communications, at least 50 years. They call themselves the Galactic Council. They think we've advanced too quickly. Most species take thousands of years to go from radio signals to spaceflight. We did it in just over a century." Carter put down the datapad and turned to the star map on the wall. Tiny lights showed the positions of Earth's ships and stations. "Where's the nearest battle group?" "Battle Group Delta is on routine patrol near Jupiter. Captain Greg Miller commanding." Carter nodded. "And our newest ships? The ones with the phase shift technology?" "Lieutenant Commander Jack Ross has Phantom Wing on standby in the asteroid belt. 6 ships, all equipped with the quantum phase shifters." Carter walked to his desk and pressed a button. "General Lane, I need you in my office immediately." He looked up at Martinez. "What do our intelligence people think? Are these aliens really as advanced as they believe?" Martinez handed him another report. "Their weapons and shields are about 20 years ahead of our best systems, but they don't know about our phase shift technology or our new EMP weapons. So they think they're coming to evaluate a primitive species that might cause trouble later," Carter said softly. "But they have no idea what we're capable of now." General Peter Lane arrived, his uniform crisp, his face serious. "You called for me, Admiral." "Yes, General. It seems we have uninvited guests who plan to decide whether humans deserve to exist freely or should be contained." Carter handed him the intelligence reports. "I need your Marine strike teams ready." Lane read quickly. "How much time do we have?" "The alien ships are moving slowly toward Earth. At their current speed, maybe 3 days before they reach Mars orbit." "My teams can be ready in 12 hours, Lane said firmly. Carter nodded. "Good. Commander Martinez, contact Lieutenant Commander Ross. I want Phantom Wing to shadow these visitors. No engagement, just observation for now." "Yes, sir," Martinez said, already moving to the communications console. Carter looked back at the stars. He had served in the Earth Defense Fleet for 30 years. He had always wondered if humans were alone in the universe. Now he knew they weren't, and the first contact was not going as anyone had hoped. "Should we inform the civilian government?" Martinez asked. Carter considered the question. "Yes, but not the public. Not yet. The president needs to know, but if we tell everyone, there might be panic." "And if we wait, sir?" Lane asked. "If we wait, these council ships might bring more forces. They might surround Earth before we can act." Carter's decision was made. "We don't fire first, but we prepare to defend ourselves. If they show any sign of hostile action, we hit them hard and fast." Martinez nodded. "I'll contact Phantom Wing now." As she left, Carter wondered how history would judge his actions. Would this be remembered as the day humans prevented their own subjugation, or the day they started an interstellar war? Either way, he knew one thing for certain. The Galactic Council was about to learn that humans would not go quietly into containment. Lieutenant Commander Jack Ross floated in the cockpit of his ship, the Spectre. Around him, 5 other ships of Phantom Wing moved silently through space. None of them appeared on any radar or sensor system. The quantum phase shift technology, made them almost like ghosts, existing partly in normal space and partly somewhere else. "All ships report ready status," said his second-in-command, Lieutenant Diane Harris, her voice calm in his earpiece. "Acknowledged," Ross replied. He checked his own systems one more time. "Remember, this is observation only. We shadow the alien vessels but take no action unless ordered." Ross looked at the main screen showing the 5 large Galactic Council ships. They were moving slowly toward Mars, their silver hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. The aliens had no idea that 6 human ships were now following them, gathering data on their weapons, shields, and communication systems. "Sir, I'm picking up new transmissions between the alien ships," reported Ensign Paul Wright, the communications specialist. "They're discussing Earth's defenses. They seem amused." Ross frowned. "Let me hear it." Wright played the translated audio. A strange, slightly mechanical voice spoke. "These humans have primitive defense satellites and a small fleet of basic ships. Their weapons are chemical propellants and simple lasers. The containment will not be difficult." Another voice responded. "High Admiral Zex Toril has ordered a full scan of the 3rd planet. He believes these humans might have potential as servants to the Council, if properly controlled." Ross felt his face grow hot with anger, but he kept his voice steady. "Record everything. Admiral Carter needs to hear this." For the next 6 hours, Phantom Wing followed the alien ships. They collected data on the Council vessels' engine signatures, power systems, and communication frequencies. Ross noticed something interesting about their shields. "Look at these readings," he said to Harris. "Their shield systems operate on a narrow band frequency. If we hit them with our EMP weapons tuned to that exact frequency, we could bypass their shields completely." Harris finished. "The EMP would go right through." Ross nodded. "Contact Fleet Headquarters. Tell them we found a weakness." Back on Earth, Admiral Carter and Commander Martinez reviewed the data from Phantom Wing. Chief Engineer Olivia Grant joined them in the secure briefing room. "Can we exploit this shield weakness?" Carter asked. Grant studied the readings. "Yes, sir. Their ships use a bioneural interface system to control their advanced functions. If we hit them with the right EMP frequency, we could disable their ships without destroying them." "How long would they be disabled?" Martins asked. "Based on these readings, at least 20 minutes, maybe longer." Carter looked at the tactical display showing the alien ships now approaching Mars orbit. "And they still haven't detected Phantom Wing." "No, sir," Grant said. "The phase shift technology is working perfectly. They have no idea our ships are there." Carter made his decision. "Commander Martinez, contact Battle Group Delta near Jupiter. Tell Captain Miller to move his ships into position, but stay out of the aliens' sensor range. Then have General Lane prepare his Marine boarding teams." "You want to board their vessels?" Martins asked. "Yes. If these Council aliens want to study humans, let's give them a close-up demonstration of what we can do." Carter's face was grim but determined. "Lieutenant Commander Ross will deploy the EMP devices. Battle Group Delta will move in to secure the disabled ships, and Lane's Marines will board them." Martinez nodded and moved to carry out the orders. Meanwhile, on the lead Council ship, High Admiral Zex Toril looked at the holographic display of the Sol system. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the primitive defenses of Earth. "Send the formal contact message," he ordered. "Inform these humans that the Galactic Council has arrived to assess their civilization and determine their status. Make it clear that resistance would be unwise." What Zex Toril didn't know was that 6 human ships were hovering just a few kilometers from his vessel, preparing specialized EMP devices that would soon disable his entire fleet. The humans he thought primitive were about to teach him a painful lesson about underestimating a younger species. Chief Engineer Olivia Grant worked quickly in her lab deep inside Earth Defense Headquarters. Around her, a team of 20 engineers made final adjustments to small disc-shaped devices. Each disc was about the size of a dinner plate, but contained some of the most advanced technology humans had ever created. Final calibration complete on EMP Series 5 through 10, reported her assistant, Ben Foster. They're tuned exactly to the frequency we detected in the alien shields. Grant nodded as she checked the readouts on her tablet. Good. What about the synchronization system? Ready, said Foster. Once activated, all devices will trigger simultaneously. Grant touched her communication earpiece. Admiral Carter, this is Grant. The EMP devices are ready for deployment. In the command center, Carter acknowledged the report. Excellent work, Chief. How confident are you in their effectiveness? Based on the data from Phantom Wing, I'm 90% certain they'll work as planned. The alien bioneural systems have never been designed to withstand this kind of attack. 90% will have to do, Carter said. We move in 30 minutes. On the bridge of his ship, Lieutenant Commander Ross received his orders. Phantom Wing would split into pairs, with each pair targeting one of the alien vessels. They would place the EMP devices directly onto the hulls of the Galactic Council ships, then move to a safe distance before detonation. These aliens think we're still using chemical rockets and basic laser weapons, Ross told his pilots. They have no idea what we're about to do to them. Lieutenant Harris looked worried. What if they detect us when we get close to their hulls? According to our readings, their sensors can't penetrate our phase shift field, Ross assured her. We'll be like ghosts to them. The 6 ships of Phantom Wing moved silently toward their targets. The alien vessels continued their slow approach to Earth, still sending messages demanding that humans prepare for evaluation and potential containment. On the bridge of his flagship, High Admiral Zex Toril received a report from his second-in-command. The humans have finally responded to our messages. Admiral. What do they say? Zex Toril asked, his multiple eyes blinking with interest. They request more time to prepare their leaders for first contact. They seem appropriately fearful. Zex Toril made a gesture of satisfaction with his upper limbs. As they should be. The Council has contained dozens of aggressive young species. These humans will learn their place quickly. What Zex Toril didn't know was that Phantom Wing was now in position. 6 human ships hovered just meters from the hulls of the alien vessels, completely invisible to their sensors. Ross gave the order. Deploy EMP devices now. From each human ship, small hatches opened and mechanical arms extended, carefully placing the disc-shaped devices against the alien hulls. The devices attached magnetically, their lights turning from red to green to show they were armed. All devices placed and armed, reported Harris. Phantom Wing is clear to move to safe distance. The 6 human ships backed away from the alien vessels, moving to a position 5 kilometers distant. Ross touched his communication console. Admiral Carter, Phantom Wing is in position. EMP devices are armed and ready. In Earth's command center, Carter looked at Martinez. Are Battle Group Delta and General Lane's Marines ready? Martinez nodded. Battle Group Delta is on approach, running silent. The Marine boarding craft are loaded and ready to launch as soon as the EMP devices disable the alien ships. Carter took a deep breath. This would be humanity's first military action against an alien species. History would judge what happened in the next few minutes. Chief Grant, activate the EMP devices now, he ordered. In her lab, Grant touched a control on her console. Activating in 3, 2, 1. Across space, 25 EMP devices activated simultaneously. There was no visible flash, no explosion, no sign that anything had happened at all. But inside each alien ship, the carefully tuned electromagnetic pulse surged through their systems, overwhelming their bioneural interfaces and shutting down their power systems. On the Galactic Council flagship, Zex Toril was in mid-sentence when the lights went out. Emergency systems failed to activate. Gravity systems failed. Communication systems went silent. Weapons systems powered down. Even the artificial atmosphere regulators stopped working. In the sudden darkness, floating as gravity failed, Zex Toril's confusion quickly turned to fear. What just happened? He demanded, but no one could answer him. The Galactic Council's mighty fleet hung powerless in space, and the humans they had come to contain were now approaching, armed and ready to board. Major Alan Hayes floated in the darkness of his boarding craft, surrounded by 20 Marine specialists in powered armor. The small ship accelerated toward the largest alien vessel, which drifted powerless in space. Through the viewports, Hayes could see the other human boarding craft moving toward their own targets. "Remember your training," Hayes told his team over the comm system. "We don't know what these aliens look like or how they'll react. Stun weapons only unless you meet armed resistance." The Marines checked their weapons one last time. Their armor was designed for zero-gravity combat, with small thruster packs that would let them move quickly through the alien ship. "Approaching target," announced the pilot. "Scans show no active defenses. Their hull is intact, but all systems appear to be offline." Hayes nodded. "Find us an entry point." The pilot guided the craft toward what looked like an airlock on the side of the massive alien ship. Special cutting tools extended from the human vessel, carefully slicing through the alien metal. Within minutes, they had created an opening large enough for the Marines to enter. "Breach successful," reported the pilot. "Atmosphere inside is breathable for humans, but thin. Keep your helmets sealed." Hayes led the way, pushing off from the boarding craft and floating through the opening into the alien vessel. His helmet lights illuminated a large, circular chamber. The walls were covered in strange symbols and what looked like living technology, circuits that seemed to pulse even though they were currently inactive. "Move in teams of 4, Hayes ordered. "Find the bridge and secure any aliens you encounter." The Marines split into 5 groups and moved deeper into the ship. Hayes led his team toward what they believed was the command center, based on scans taken before the EMP attack. They passed through corridors filled with floating objects, the alien equivalent of tablets, tools, and personal items knocked loose when gravity failed. Lieutenant Kate Wilson, the team's tech specialist, paused to examine a floating device. "Sir, this looks like some kind of data storage unit. I'm going to grab it for analysis." Hayes nodded. "Good thinking. Collect anything that might give us information about their technology or plans." As they approached the bridge, they began to encounter the ship's crew. The aliens were tall, thin beings with 6 limbs, 4 arms, and 2 legs. They had 6 eyes arranged in a circle around what appeared to be a central breathing apparatus. The aliens floated helplessly in the zero-gravity environment, clearly not adapted to moving without their technology to assist them. "Secure these beings," Hayes ordered. "Remember, no unnecessary force." The Marines used special restraints designed to work in zero gravity, securing the aliens' multiple limbs. The aliens made strange clicking sounds, possibly their language, but offered no resistance. Finally, they'd reached the bridge. It was a large circular room with a central platform where one alien, larger than the others and wearing ornate decorations, floated while trying to hold onto a control panel. "That must be the commander," Hayes said quietly. "Wilson, see if you can access any of their systems now that we're on the bridge." Wilson moved to what appeared to be a main console and attached a small device to it. "This translator might help us communicate with them, sir. And I might be able to extract some data despite the EMP." The large alien turned all 6 eyes toward Hayes. It made a series of clicks and whistles that slowly transformed into words as Wilson's device began working. "Demand to know the meaning of this attack," the alien was saying. "I am High Admiral Zex Toral of the Galactic Council. Your primitive species has committed an act of war against the most powerful force in the galaxy." Hayes moved closer, his stance confident even in zero gravity. "I am Major Alan Hayes of Earth's Defense Force. We detected your plans to contain our species. We decided to demonstrate why that would be a bad idea." Zex Toral's eyes blinked in sequence, possibly showing surprise. "Impossible. Your species lacks the technology to detect our communications, let alone disable our ships." Hayes smiled behind his helmet visor. "Clearly, you were wrong about us." Wilson called out excitedly from the console. "Major, I've accessed their system files. They have complete battle plans for the subjugation of Earth. Multiple staging areas throughout our solar system. They've been planning this for years." Hayes turned back to Zextoral. "It seems we acted just in time. The Galactic Council will need to reconsider its approach to humanity." Around them, the other Marines secured the bridge crew. Similar scenes were playing out on the other 4 alien vessels as human boarding teams took control. On Earth, Admiral Carter received the reports with satisfaction. Phase 1 of humanity's response to the alien threat had gone perfectly. Now it was time for Phase 2, showing the Galactic Council that humans would never accept containment. Dr. Elizabeth Moore adjusted her formal diplomatic uniform as the transport ship approached the massive space station that served as the Galactic Council's headquarters. Through the viewport, she could see hundreds of ships from different alien species docked at the station. The human vessel, called the Diplomat, was small compared to most of the others. "Are you ready, Doctor?" asked her assistant, Ryan Phillips. He handed her a data tablet containing all the information they had gathered from the captured Council ships. "As ready as I'll ever be," Moore replied. She had been Earth's top diplomat for 15 years, but this would be her first meeting with representatives of dozens of alien species. "Has Admiral Carter's message been sent ahead?" Phillips nodded. "Yes. The Council has been informed that we're coming to discuss the Jupiter incident and present evidence of their planned subjugation of Earth." Moore took a deep breath. "And our insurance policy?" "In place," Phillips said quietly. "Captain Winters and his team reached the weapons facility yesterday. If negotiations fail, the Council will find their planet-killer weapons have been disabled." The human ship docked at the station, and Moore led her small delegation into the alien structure. They were met by a group of different species, some with multiple limbs like Zextoral's people, others more humanoid, and some that seemed to float rather than walk. "The Council will see you immediately," said one alien through a translation device. "Your actions have caused quite a stir." The humans were led to a vast circular chamber. Hundreds of representatives from different species sat in rising tiers around the room. At the center was a platform where Moore was directed to stand. The chamber hummed with the sound of many alien languages being spoken at once. An older alien with pale blue skin and 4 arms raised 2 of its limbs, and the room fell silent. "I am Elder Ixlara of the Council's Diplomatic Court. We have called this emergency session to address the unprovoked attack by the species known as humans on Council vessels, performing a standard evaluation mission." Moore stepped forward confidently. "With respect, Elder Ixlara, we have evidence that this was not a standard evaluation mission. The Council ships came to determine if Earth should be placed under containment." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Moore activated her tablet and projected images into the air above her, translations of the messages between the Council ships. "We intercepted these communications before your ships reached Earth. They clearly show plans to assess humans for containment due to our supposedly unpredictable nature." A large reptilian alien stood from one of the higher tiers. "I am Supreme Commander Dralvor. How did a primitive species like yours intercept and translate our secure communications? This is clearly a fabrication." Moore smiled. "We've known about the Galactic Council for decades, Commander. While you were watching us, we were watching you. We have had observers among your populations for nearly 50 years. This caused an uproar in the chamber. Ixlara had to raise all 4 arms to restore order. "Impossible," shouted Dralvor. "Humans lacked the technology for interstellar travel 50 years ago. We lacked the technology for mass travel," Moore corrected him. "But we managed to send a few special operatives. Your arrogance made it easy to hide among you. You saw what you expected to see. A primitive species limited to its home system." Moore pressed another control on her tablet, and new images appeared. Detailed schematics of Council technology, defense systems, and classified reports about dozens of species that had been contained or even eliminated by the Council. We know about the 12 species the Council has driven to extinction because they were deemed too unpredictable or potentially threatening. We know about the 37 worlds under containment, their populations unaware of their true potential. The chamber was completely silent now. Moore looked around at the stunned alien faces. Humanity will not accept containment. We will not surrender our sovereignty or our future to your control. But we also don't want war. Moore's voice softened slightly. We're offering terms. Recognize Earth's independence and our right to develop at our own pace. In return, we'll share some of our technologies and join the galactic community as equals, not subjects. Ixlara's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. And if we refuse these terms? Moore's expression hardened again. Then we'll be forced to demonstrate more of our capabilities. The disabling of 5 Council warships was just the beginning. We can do much more if pressed. Throughout the chamber, Council representatives began urgent discussions. Humanity had just changed the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Galactic Council chamber erupted into chaos after Dr. Moore's presentation. Species that had lived under Council rule for thousands of years now looked at each other with suspicion and fear. The humans had exposed secrets that many Council members didn't even know existed. Elder Ixlara called for order, but the damage was done. The Council split into groups, each arguing loudly about how to respond to the humans. Supreme Commander Dralvor stood tall, his reptilian scales flashing red with anger. This is outrageous. These primitive humans must be punished immediately. I call for the deployment of our planet-killer weapons. We must make an example of Earth before other contained species get similar ideas. Many of the military representatives nodded in agreement. The idea of a young species challenging Council authority terrified them. If humans could do it, others might follow. Elder Ixlara raised her 4 arms again. That would be unwise, Commander. The humans disabled 5 of our most advanced warships without destroying them or killing a single crew member. They showed restraint when they could have shown cruelty. We should consider their terms carefully. Restraint. They boarded our vessels. They took our crews prisoner. Dralvor's voice echoed through the chamber. And then they treated those crews with respect and returned them unharmed, countered Ixlara. I have read the reports from High Admiral Zextoral himself. The humans used only the force necessary to protect themselves from what they correctly perceived as a threat. The chamber broke into 2 clear factions. The militant faction, led by Dralvor, demanded immediate military action against Earth. The pragmatic faction, headed by Ixlara, argued for accepting human terms and welcoming them as equals. Meanwhile, Captain Frank Winters and his small team of special operatives moved quietly through the massive weapons facility orbiting a distant moon. They wore adaptive camouflage suits that mimicked the appearance of the facility's security personnel. They had spent months practicing for this mission. Almost there, whispered Lieutenant Mia Foster as they approached the central control room. Security is lighter than expected. Winters nodded. They never imagined anyone could reach this place, let alone infiltrate it. The human team reached the main control center for the facility that housed the Council's planet-killer weapons, terrible devices capable of making a world uninhabitable in minutes. Their orders were simple: sabotage the weapons systems without being detected. If the Council chose war over diplomacy, Earth wanted insurance. Foster connected a small device to the facility's main computer. Uploading the virus now. It will look like a system update, but actually place a backdoor in their launch protocols. If they try to target Earth, the weapons will shut down automatically. Winters kept watch at the door. How long? 3 minutes to complete the upload, then 2 to remove all traces we were here, Foster replied, her fingers moving quickly over the device. Back at the Council chamber, the debate continued. A vote was called to decide Earth's fate. Dr. Moore watched with outward calm, but her heart raced. So much depended on this moment. If the militant faction won, Earth would face a terrible attack. She touched a small communicator hidden in her sleeve. Status on Project Shield, she whispered. Felix replied quietly. Captain Winters reports success. The back door is installed. Even if they vote for war, their weapons won't work against us. Moore allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had prepared for every possibility. The Council's voting system displayed the results on a large screen. The chamber fell silent as the numbers appeared. 196 for accepting human terms, 189 for military action. By the narrowest margin, the pragmatic faction had won. Elder Ixlura approached Moore. It seems, Doctor, that the Council has decided to accept your terms, though not with the unanimity I would have preferred. Moore nodded respectfully. Thank you, Elder. This is a historic day for both humanity and the Council. Across the chamber, Supreme Commander Dralvor watched with cold fury. He turned to his closest advisors. This is not over. Begin preparations immediately. If the Council won't act to contain these humans, we will do so ourselves. The human delegation had won this round, but the danger was far from over. As Moore prepared to return to Earth with news of their diplomatic victory, Dralvor was already planning to act against Council orders. The game of interstellar chess had only just begun. Commander Nickel Bennett walked through the holding area where the captured Council officers were being kept. Unlike human prisons with bars or cells, this was a comfortable facility designed to house the alien visitors while Earth and the Council negotiated. The aliens had all the comforts they needed, adjusted for their unique biology. Bennett stopped in front of the quarters assigned to Senior Officer Krelvon, Zex Toral's second-in-command. The alien sat on a specially designed chair that accommodated his 6 limbs. His circular arrangement of eyes tracked Bennett as she entered. "Good morning, Senior Officer," Bennett said politely. "I hope you found your meal satisfactory." Krelvon made a gesture that the translation software identified as resignation. "The food is adequate. I still do not understand why we are being treated this way." "What way is that?" Bennett asked, taking a seat across from him. "With respect," Krelvon said. "We came to contain your species. In the history of the Council, most species would have destroyed us for such an attempt." Bennett nodded. "That's why I wanted to talk to you today. Your analysts clearly don't understand human military doctrine or philosophy. I thought it might help if I explained." The alien's eyes blinked in sequence, showing interest. "Please do." "Most species in the Council evolved from pack predators or hive intelligences, correct?" Bennett asked. "Yes," Krelvon confirmed. "My species began as pack hunters on a world with high gravity. The Council species largely follow similar patterns, coordinated group action with clear hierarchies. Humans are different," Bennett explained. "We evolved as persistence hunters, small groups that could think independently but work together without rigid command structures. We developed what we call mission command, where leaders provide clear objectives but individual units decide how to achieve them." Krelvon's translator hummed as he responded. "This explains why your attack was so efficient. Different human teams acted independently, but toward the same goal." "Exactly," Bennett said. "Your Council expected either full submission or mindless aggression. We chose a third option, precision strikes that disabled your capabilities without unnecessary destruction." Bennett activated a small projector that displayed Earth's historical timeline. "Our planet has a long history of warfare. Through bitter experience, we learned that total war often leads to total destruction. We developed concepts of proportional response and minimal necessary force." Krelvon studied the images with all 6 eyes. "Your species has fought itself constantly. This is why the Council deemed humans unpredictable and dangerous." "We prefer to think of ourselves as tested," Bennett countered. "Each conflict taught us lessons. We learned that preemptive action against existential threats is sometimes necessary, but restraint in victory is equally important." The aliens seemed to consider this. The Council's planned containment of Earth was similar to historical human attempts at colonization, Bennett finished. "We recognized the pattern immediately. It triggered a defensive response generations in the making." Krelvan's upper limbs made a gesture of understanding. You never intended galactic conquest, did you, just to be left alone? Not exactly, Bennett said. We don't want isolation. We want equal partnership. Humans work best when cooperating with others who respect our sovereignty. In other rooms throughout the facility, similar conversations were happening between human officers and council representatives. The aliens were beginning to understand that humans were neither primitive savages nor power-hungry conquerors. They were something the council had rarely encountered. A species that valued both independence and cooperation. Meanwhile, Earth's scientists were studying the alien technology with great interest. The Council's bioneural interfaces were more advanced than human systems in some ways, but surprisingly vulnerable in others. Human engineers were already designing hybrid systems that combined the best aspects of both approaches. The data from the captured ships revealed something else important. The Council had encountered other species with human-like traits before, but had contained them before they could develop advanced technology. This pattern had led to a dangerous lack of diversity in galactic civilization. The Council valued order and predictability above all else, while humans thrived on innovation and adaptation. As Bennett finished her conversation with Krelvan, her communicator chimed. It was Admiral Carter. Commander, we've just received word from Dr. Moore at the Council headquarters. They'd voted to accept our terms, but it was close. The militant faction is already planning to undermine the agreement. We need to prepare for possible rogue actions outside official Council sanction. Bennett acknowledged the order. The human victory was real but fragile. The coming days would determine whether this first contact led to lasting peace or continued conflict. 6 months after what became known as the Jupiter Incident, Admiral William Carter stood in the grand ceremonial hall of the Galactic Council headquarters. Beside him, Dr. Elizabeth Moore wore her formal diplomatic uniform with Earth's new emblem, a blue planet with stars radiating outward. They watched as representatives from over 300 species filed into the chamber for the signing of the Mutual Recognition Treaty. Earth had won its independence through a combination of military surprise, diplomatic skill, and careful planning. The treaty would officially acknowledge humanity's sovereign space and right to self-determination. More importantly, it would mark Earth's entry into galactic affairs as an equal, not a subject. Nervous? Carter asked quietly. Moore smiled slightly. A little. 6 months ago, most of these species had never heard of humans. Now we're changing how the entire Council operates. The most dramatic change was the Council's approach to emerging species. Under the new treaty, containment would be replaced with guided introduction, a program where new spacefaring civilizations would be welcomed and assisted rather than controlled. Earth would help oversee this program, bringing their unique perspective to the process. Elder Ixlara approached the human delegation. Her 4 arms made a gesture of respect. Admiral Carter, Dr. Moore. The Council is ready to begin the ceremony. They moved to the central platform where the treaty document waited. It had been carefully written in multiple languages, including Earth Standard English. The terms had been negotiated for months, with humans refusing to accept any language that could be interpreted as placing Earth under Council authority. High Admiral Zex Toril was also present, though he no longer commanded the Council fleet. His experience with humans had changed his perspective. Your species continues to surprise me, he said to Carter. When you disabled our ships, I expected you to destroy us completely. That was never our goal, Carter replied. We just needed to show you that humans wouldn't accept containment. The ceremony began with speeches from Council leaders, followed by Dr. Moore's address to the assembled species. She spoke of a new era of cooperation and mutual respect. As she finished, the entire chamber rose in applause, a gesture that many alien species had adopted from human diplomatic customs. Not everyone was pleased with the new arrangement. Supreme Commander Dralvor had resigned his position in protest and disappeared with a small group of military supporters. Intelligence reports suggested they were building a resistance movement against human influence, but for today at least, peace prevailed. The treaty was signed by representatives from all council species and sealed with the ancient ceremonial marks, unique to each civilization. Earth's mark was simple, a handprint pressed into special clay, then hardened permanently, a reminder that despite their advanced technology, humans remained connected to their primitive origins. After the ceremony, cultural and technological exchanges began immediately. Council scientists were especially interested in human quantum phase shift technology, while Earth's engineers studied alien bioneural interfaces. Both sides found they had much to learn from each other. Captain Lisa Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Earth's first official diplomatic vessel, the Unity. Her ship was preparing to depart for the Galactic Core, carrying human representatives to various Council worlds. Unlike the warships that had disabled the Council fleet, Unity was designed to showcase human culture and scientific achievements. "All systems ready, Captain," reported her first officer. "Course laid in for the Galactic Core." Rodriguez nodded. "Begin departure sequence." As Unity moved away from Earth's orbital station, Rodriguez thought about the message her ship carried, that humans came in peace but would always be prepared for war. It was a delicate balance, but one that humanity had learned through its long, complicated history. On the main view screen, a message from Admiral Carter appeared. "Captain Rodriguez, your mission represents the next chapter in human history. Remember what we learned from the Jupiter incident. Respect must be earned, not just given. Show the galaxy what humanity truly stands for." Rodriguez acknowledged the message as Unity accelerated to faster-than-light speed. The stars blurred around the ship as it carried humanity's representatives deeper into the galaxy they had so recently shocked with their unannounced attacks. Now those same tactical strikes had earned humans a place at the galactic table, not as newcomers to be contained, but as equals who had proven their worth.